is, what do you think about the phrase like write what you know in terms of being specific? So
Get about it. So to be a writer is to be curious. So you're not trying to set out to write a book where you know all the answers already. That's boring. You're writing to figure things out. You're writing to explore things that you want to know more about. So
experience is interesting. How do you think you were able to turn what might have been your ordinary life into something that was interesting enough for something?
I will tell you that is an outstanding question. My answer is counterintuitive. It is true. So to make a book that is the most universal, you want to be as specific as possible. I was writing about National City right next to the border. Well, I gave all these details about the recycling plant, the kids that were there, the baseball field. This is what the community looks like. It's kind of run down, it's trashy. Well, if I told that in a more general way, because I thought it'd be more universal, then I'm kind of hedging my bet. I'm not really telling anybody.
For us, like high school students, it's harder for us to, decide whether our writing is authentic when our imagination is like more vivid than our experience. You know what I mean? Because right now we've not really seen or like gone through much. We don't have interesting, things we've been through, like not necessarily as many as, somebody who's older. So yeah, generally a lot of our writing is reliant on what our imagination rather than what we've experienced.
But there's nothing wrong with that. And again, but also, the experience of being a teenager is so far removed for somebody from like my age. I'm in my mid 40s now. So, and there were a lot of, authors who write, YA books featuring teen protagonists. But the fact is, they have to be authentic too, and it's work for them, because being a teenager is very different now than it was 30 years ago.
That's a great point. Yeah.
Yeah. So just because you're younger than other older, more established writers doesn't mean you don't have your own voice to bring to it and your own experiences that are relevant and worthy and everything else.
Writing about things, places, or settings that you're not necessarily completely familiar with. So right. How valuable do you think it is for a writer to say, I want to write about something somewhere I've never been, or somewhere I don't know that well, but I'll do a lot of work and research into it? Do you think that's an okay endeavor?
I definitely think it's okay. I mean, so first of all, I think it's terrific. You and your friends it's a great time, because it's so important to find authentic young voices now. I think it's terrific that you write about your experiences in India and growing up, Asian, because I couldn't write that, and I should. And I don't like to use the word shouldn't, but really I shouldn't write that, because I don't know that experience. I wouldn't be authentic in writing that, right? That said, you don't have to limit yourself to just, there is something that's like the human experience, right? And there are certain common things that we all experience in life, emotions we have. I don't think writers should be limited to just what they've directly experienced. I mean, the important thing for me for writing is that it's authentic. As long as it's authentic, then, I think that's the most important part. Writing fantasy is great because I get to make stuff up. For me, the hardest part is trying to, if I'm going to write in a world that is somewhat fantastical, is still trying to make it feel real enough that people can relate to it, so that it has the emotional heft of real people.
About people who are like, just write about things that are set in your own personal experience rather than potentially exploring something new. Do you think that with sufficient research you can potentially write about something that you don't know as well, or do you think you should stick to personal experience?
I think anyone who writes fiction writes about stuff that is not their personal experience. I think that any fiction writing, even if it's set in the context in which you grew up, in the cultural context you were raised in, still involves a lot of imagination, a lot of making up. And it's part of the work to sort of push into that imagination and explore and try to, in things that are made up, trying to make them as real and grounded as possible. I read a great thing the other day where someone was saying, write what you should know, like write what you need to know, or write what you know, like write into the experiences and the feelings and the ways of life that are really important for your exploration to understand the world or to understand yourself.
But you have to ask yourself the serious question, why would anybody want to write my book? Because I don't know, I'm 17 years old, not to be harsh, but what do you know? And if you know something, write about it. But you can't exactly write the book. I'm 18 years old and I'm going to tell you how to live your life. Well, what the hell do you know about living your life? So, therein lies the first problem. Yeah.